So a question I get asked so often, this might be the number one question that I get asked, is how do you maintain motivation and inspiration to keep doing the things after like the initial excitement wears off? And I think for a lot of us that might be where we're at right now. Like if you set a goal in the beginning of the year or even towards the end of last year, like a couple weeks into it, in the beginning you're kind of excited, you're motivated, you're like ready to go, and then life happens. And like some of that motivation just wanes. You wake up in the morning and like you have a workout in your schedule and you're like, but I don't want to work out. Or you're supposed to eat you have on your plan, you're eating a certain thing, and it's like, but I don't want to eat that. It's like our brain just keeps giving us the, but I don't want to, but I don't feel like it. And this is like the make or break for us, right? Like this is where you either are successful or you're not because you decide to give up or like skip out on most of it when you're not motivated. This is like the difference maker between the people who are successful and the people who are not. And for me, like a while back, I never did any of this stuff because I thought it was a problem. The second that I didn't feel motivated, that I didn't feel like doing it, I'm like, oh, something's wrong. I'm not supposed to do this, or this isn't for me, or like there's a problem here. And that's like what our brain does. We think that way, so then we turn back the other way. And the key is to keep going right here in this moment. And I say this all the time. You've probably heard me say this before. I'm literally like naturally motivated maybe 5% of the time. Like very, very rarely do I wake up and like jump out of bed to go to the gym. Never happens. It just doesn't. It's just learning how to work through those times when we are not motivated and we are not inspired. So that is number one. It's knowing that sadly, motivation and inspiration are not going to be there a lot of the time. It's more of our time trying to get there than just going and doing the thing. So then the second thing that I would offer is once we know that we don't need those emotions all the time, is really learning to rely on commitment and determination and discipline, whatever works for you. So commitment, really that would be like your commitment to yourself and your commitment to your goals and your commitment to that transformation that you're wanting to go through to become the person that you want to become, that identity that you're wanting to shift. If you're trying to be like the healthiest version of yourself, the healthiest version of yourself gets up and goes to the gym no matter what. The healthiest version of yourself eats one serving of something versus four. And it doesn't matter if we're motivated. It doesn't matter if they're motivated. So thinking about like, what does that version of you do in these situations? The other way you can look at it as would someone that has already accomplished what you want to accomplish, what would they do in that situation? There's this concept of like acting as if. If you were acting as if someone that you know has already accomplished this goal, what would they do in that situation? I like to think of it as the future me because it's like it helps me to think of myself in that space. But you could also think of it as someone else if that doesn't work for you. And then the third thing I would say remind you is that our feelings, we create them with our thinking. So if you really do want to try to create more motivation, more inspiration, think back to those moments when you did have it. What were you thinking in the beginning of the year, or the beginning of the month, whenever it was when you started the program? It was maybe something like, I can't wait to do this, or I'm going to feel so much better when I do this. Like, I'm not sure what it is for you, but think, what were your thoughts that created those feelings of motivation and inspiration for you? And can you practice those thoughts now and maybe get a little bit of that back?